G'day and welcome back for another episode of Fearless TV. I'm Mel Lathuris of fearlesssinger.com. Now, Fearless Singer is all about marrying mindset technique and practices with singing and singing technique. Basically, I believe that anyone can learn how to sing, and we must, because singing is one of the most transformative and healing tools that all of us have at our disposal. So it really doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth, anyone can benefit from singing. P.S. On a very side note, just in case you're wondering why I'm wearing this tag through this video, it's because Panegyri Festival, which is the Greek festival here in Brisbane, is currently on. It's literally just a stone throw away from where I live. I've just had lunch there and I plan to go back and live up to my Greek heritage and stuff myself with even more food. So in this episode, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to beat procrastination and stick to a singing practice routine. Sometimes it's really difficult just getting into practice. Once you're doing it, it feels fine and will be over before you know it. But it's just getting started that can be the problem. Look, there are so many reasons why we procrastinate, and by the way, I'm a huge procrastinator. Well, actually, more so in the past, less so now, but I'm still prone to it, and I have a series of tools that I use to overcome it. I actually wrote a blog post about it, which I believe to be quite funny, and yeah, in it, I actually mentioned that sometimes, like in the past when my procrastination was so bad, that the idea of even staring at a wall was more appealing than actually starting the project or the homework or the essay that I needed to do. Now, why we do it can range anything from being a perfectionist and wanting to get it right the first time, or just not really knowing what to do and how to get started. I can relate to both of those. It's this idea that I have to sound like insert your favorite singer right now, as opposed to going through a process and taking that journey towards sounding like that person. Preferably your goal should be to sound, as the best version of yourself, but whatever motivates you. If it's to sound or be like one of your favorite singers, that's fantastic. Or it's just, like I said, just really not knowing how to get started, not being familiar with having a structured practice, what that actually looks like. So I'm going to let you in on how to design your own practice routine and how to also get over that idea of it has to be perfect right now. Okay, so tip number 1, set your daily practice goal, but start small. So you're learning how to play your instrument, but you need to build it first. And a bit like going to the gym, you wouldn't just barrel up and start, doing 25 kilo reps or get on the treadmill and sprint for an hour. It's the same with your voice. You're strengthening these tiny little muscles and you can actually overdo it. So it's best to start with, say, 15 minutes of vocal practice a day, and that really just relates to technique. And then from there, build up to 15 minutes 2 times a day. Now, the next step to this is then to decide when you're going to practice and where. I believe that if you have a space set up, even if it's in a tiny corner of your room, that is your dedicated space where you practice every day, and also have a very specific time, you're much more likely to commit to that practice daily. So put it in your diary, make it a non-negotiable, or better still, put it in your phone and set a reminder so that you know that at 8:30 in the morning, that's when you do your 15 minutes of practice, and maybe 4:30 in the afternoon is when you do your next lot of practice. But if you identify as a bit of a rebel, like myself, and you're like, no, I don't want to be reminded when my practice is going to be and have a set time, well, just say to yourself, I have a daily quota of 20 to 30 minutes, and whenever I can fit that in is fine, providing that I do that 20 minutes. or that half an hour, or if you want to break it up, that is totally cool too and advisable. So another technique that you can use is called the POMODORO technique. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. But basically what that means is you literally set a timer. You've got one on your phone, or if you've got one on your Fitbit or Apple smartwatch, set the timer and just say, for the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to be practicing this. Can I also mention that the Pomodoro technique is fabulous for other things as well? It really gets your bum into gear. So putting it on if you want to clean your kitchen, or if you have to start an essay, or in my case as a high school teacher, get onto that marking. It's literally like putting a bomb under your boop. Another step with creating momentum with your practice is take advantage of the numerous, when I say numerous, the thousands of productivity apps available to you. I just downloaded Momentum Habit Tracker. It's pretty good. You set, in your daily goal, how many days you want to do it in a row. And yeah, you get great satisfaction with ticking it off each day and seeing a whole row all green and hearing that little ding when you've actually done what it is that you need to do. So take advantage of that. I've put a link to a great article by a life hacker with a whole bunch of these apps. I chose the first one, and yeah, so far so good. The next tip is to decide exactly what you're going to practice. Now, deliberate practice is one of the most powerful things that you can do, and it just gives you a clear goal and will help you structure your session, as well as get you quicker results, and I think for the most part will make the process so much more enjoyable. And so what does that mean as a singer? So for instance, if you record yourself and listen to yourself back, maybe you'll decide, ooh, it sounds a little bit weak. In that case, you will then go and isolate the lower part of your range and focus on chest voice exercises. P.S. Your singing teacher will give you a clear direction on what it is to practice over the week. But if you don't have the luxury of a teacher, listening to yourself is invaluable, and using the voice memo app on your phone. You should be doing that regardless of whether you have a singing teacher or not anyway. Because remember, singing and learning to sing is really learning how to teach yourself how to sing. And you do that through listening. Or you may listen back and go, ooh, my head voice is a little bit weak. I'm not quite getting that high note. So then you isolate that part of your range. Or maybe you'll listen to yourself back and go, oh, it just sounds and feels really tight and strained. So therefore, then you focus on deconstriction exercises. So your practice really should be guided by what your voice is doing. Because remembering, our overall goal is to create a balanced voice. And we will talk much more about that in future episodes. So spend a few minis working out exactly what it is that you want to focus on. And also remember to aim to be better than what you were yesterday. Look, given the nature of the voice, sometimes, if we're feeling a little bit tired or down, or we're premenstrual, or we are menstruating, our voice is going to almost take on a life of its own anyway. But just always do your best, and know that if you even hear a tiny little improvement, please celebrate that. It's really important that we become our biggest cheerleaders through this process. And again, it's just going to help us stick to the process, but also really, really love it at the same time. Now, one of the practices or principles that I've taken from the self-help world, P.S. you've probably discovered by now that I am a self-help junkie. It is my dope. And these videos are pretty much going to be mostly all about that, because I believe that's what's going to amplify all the technique practices that we're going to do. But one of the principles that I have taken from that is the whole idea of just feeling good for the sake of it. So not only has that enhanced my own singing practice, but that has changed my life. So every moment of every day, just reminding myself to feel good no matter what. And, if something a bit shitty happens, you know, obviously experience that, but then don't dwell in that space for too long. Come back into feeling good. So the next tip is to feel good and then practice. So what does that mean? That might mean blasting your favorite song and singing at the top of your lungs, preferably not in a strained kind of way, in a very joyful kind of way. Maybe watching a little bit of stand-up comedy, tell yourself a joke, do something that's going to make you feel good and then get into practice. What you're actually doing is you're creating a neural pathway that associates pleasure and joy with practice. So do something. It might even be a dancing routine. You might, I don't know, go and drink a coffee, even though caffeine's not the most amazing thing to have when you're about to sing. Sometimes with a lot of those rules, I just go, have the coffee. If that makes you feel good and it's going to get you into your practice, do it. Pro tip, drink 3 glasses of water for every coffee you have. My best friend Amy is a shiatsu practitioner, and she says, yeah, that's what it takes to rehydrate our vocal folds after drinking coffee. Now, for some of you who perhaps have grown up doing piano or singing lessons, you've created a negative association with the word practice. So the next tip is to give practice a complete makeover. Give it a whole new name. Retell a different story. So it could be, that's your time. So singing could become a way of taking care of yourself, looking after yourself. So it's my time, or I'm doing some vocal exploration work, or I'm going to paint using my voice with the colors. I'm getting a little bit carried away here, as you can see. You could just even say it's my singing time, or I'm going to be doing my singing. Whatever works for you. You may like the word practice, but if you don't, just recreate a different story with the word by giving it a completely new name and new meaning. Now, my final tip is using a very powerful tool to overcome procrastination. And that tool is emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as EFT or tapping. Now, procrastination, it's a tricky one. It seems to be quite stubborn at times, but you can completely obliterate it by doing a round of tapping. The reason why we procrastinate, as I mentioned, could have anything to do from this need to have everything perfect right now to not knowing what to do or how to get started. So the tapping routine that I'm going to do now will relate to those two things. Just a little note on EFT. I do talk about that in my episode of how to overcome the fear of singing with tapping. But essentially, you're tapping on the various parts of your body which relate to your meridian system, and you're releasing any blocks that you may have in regards to doing something that you want to do. And yeah, we store a lot of those blocks in our energetic body, and by doing the tapping and the affirmation work, we actually release those blocks. Okay, so let me take you through a round of tapping that's going to honestly just kick procrastination in the balls. You'll get straight into your practice like nobody's business. First things first, have a drink of water. P.S. my lipstick's gonna go everywhere, so, you know, soz. Or maybe it's not. So have water. It's very, very important to stay hydrated through this process. Have water before you do the tapping, have some water afterwards. We're just going to start tapping on the karate chop point, and we're just going to talk through how we're feeling right now about getting into our singing practice. Okay, so let's start. I'm just feeling so much resistance around getting into my singing practice right now, and I don't know, just in general. I don't like what sounds I make when I'm practicing. I just sound like crap, and I don't believe I'm going to get any better than this. All this resistance that I'm feeling towards getting stuck into my practice. I want it to be good now. I don't want to have to wait. There's a lot of patience required through this singing process. Patience that I don't believe I have. When am I going to sound good? Because this, I don't know, this sounds and feels painful. All this resistance I have towards practicing right now, today. And I don't know what to practice. I have no idea where to get started. There's a general weakness in my voice, but I don't know how to remedy that. All these feelings of negativity that I have towards singing and practicing and making any noise in general. I also feel like I'm bothering everyone who's around me that has to listen to me. Whether it's my family or friends or my housemates or even the neighbours. I actually feel, to be honest, quite embarrassed about singing and people hearing me sing. When will I get good? When is this going to happen? It feels like it's a far away goal. Okay, now stop and just take a deep breath. Now, just between 1 and 10, how do you rate yourself? How do you feel right now about this issue? If it is above a 5, just do that round again. So just rewind back and start that process again. Or if you have your own words that really describe how you're feeling, why don't you just pause this video now, just tap on your karate chop point and tell your story on how you're feeling. And now we're going to start tapping on the other points and retelling the story so that it's a little bit more positive. So we're going to start on the points in between our eyebrows. So we're going to tap on here, and you can use both hands or one hand, whatever you prefer. It doesn't really matter. And you know what? During this whole process, don't try to get it 100% right, because it really doesn't matter. As long as your intention is there, it pretty much works. So we're tapping in between our eyebrows, and repeat after me. I'm open to giving singing practice a go and just seeing what happens. Perhaps I might surprise myself and actually really enjoy this next 20 minutes. I'm open to making all sorts of weird noises. If I just commit to 20 minutes or even 10 minutes right now, it's a step towards my ultimate singing goals. And if I don't try, well then I'll never know if I'm capable of being able to do this and reaching my goals. I'm open to exploring my voice over the course of 10 to 20 minutes. I'm open towards loving myself and being gentle with myself through this process, and knowing that whatever sound comes out of my mouth, that's 100% okay. I'm also open to not really caring what anyone thinks about me. At least I'm giving this a go. How many people people dream about being able to sing but are too afraid to even open their mouth and make a sound. At least I'm giving this a go. And who knows, I may even inspire my family, friends, housemates or neighbours to give singing a go as well. Or maybe it will inspire them to take action towards their own aspirations and dreams. No matter what, I'm open to just having fun with this. Singing actually makes me feel good. I love nothing more than blasting out a tune in my car to my favorite song. I love the way my voice sounds in the shower. And who knows, one day I could be just as good as my favorite singers. Anything is possible. Maybe one day I'll be good enough to stand on a stage and sing. Maybe it doesn't really matter if I'm good or not. I can still stand on a stage and sing. Just like it really doesn't matter if I'm good or not right now in this practice. In fact, what is good anyway? I'm not striving to be good. I'm striving to discover what my voice is actually capable of doing. I'm in the process of discovering what my authentic voice is. And how will I discover this if I don't commit to at least 10 minutes of work right now? I don't even have to call this practice. I can redefine what this means to me. In fact, this is really just my time to do what it is that brings me joy. And singing and making music and listening to music brings me so much joy and passion. It's the one time that I feel truly connected to myself. The least I can do for myself now is to take 10 to 15 minutes out of my day to commit to this and commit to myself. I will feel so proud of myself after doing this small amount of practice. I'm going to feel so proud of myself for taking a step towards my singing goals and dreams. Because I know that this may be a slow process, but if I do this 10 minutes now, it's one step towards that. And if I spend a bit of time being strategic about my practice and what I'm going to do, it has the potential to speed up the process. I know that I'm developing my small vocal muscles and teaching them how to coordinate themselves to make the sounds that I want. And I know that just like going to the gym, that requires a little bit of time every single day. I'm open to being patient and loving towards myself through this process. I am enough, and my singing voice is enough. And I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes giving it some love, time, and attention. Take a deep breath. Oh, that felt really powerful. I felt even a massive shift within myself. Take a big swig of water. Mate, you have done so exceptionally well. If you did that tapping, please tell me in the comments whether you did follow up with a practice. Also, do this tapping session every single day this week, and please in the comments tell me what happened. What did you discover? Did you stick to your practice every single day this week? Let me know. I really want to be part of this journey with you and this process. I hope all these tips were very helpful. Let me know which one really resonated with you. And yeah, and I'll see you next week. I'm going to go back to Panayiri. I'm going to get the Lucamatis, which is the honey puffs. Basically, the literal translation for them is diabetes. It's like fried bread with honey and dusted in sugar. On that note, see you later.